Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. This is an amazing turnout for this. I must have foreseen that a lot of people would be interested in this presentation, and I know that Abigail just announced this morning that the fall session of DayTag is going to be focused entirely on AI and data. So this is maybe a precursor to what you'll see then. And maybe I'll have an update on this by that time. So, and that's entirely possible because as we all know with the AI tools, they are rapidly evolving. And I started this presentation a couple of months ago. I left it for a couple of weeks, came back, and there was a whole new NotebookLM. So it's a very rapidly changing technology. What we're going to go over today is a little bit about what the technology is, what it can do, and specifically how it can help you in your not data analysis. We're not going to touch any actual data at all. It's going to be more about using NotebookLM as a research partner to be able to get to answers quicker, to be able to create trainings for your districts, and really anything that you can think about that you might want to automate or that would take a lot of time to do. This is a great partner for that. By the way, hi, I'm Helen Goodfriend. I am the data warehouse help desk lead at the Mid-Hudson Regional Information Center. I've been there for just about 8 years. And in that time, in the past 3 years or so, I've become very, very interested in AI and how it can help us do our jobs. So let's see, maybe this will work even. Oops. Click. No. Well, it's okay, because I'll just do this. Or this. Here we go. All right, so that's me. That's my contact information. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to know what y'all are doing and share what I'm doing. Who has heard of RAG as it relates to AI? 2 people, 3 people, 4 people? Okay, so you know that ChatGPT is a thing. So a GPT is a thing, and there's also RAG. The thing about ChatGPT and a lot of the other models that they go out directly to the internet, right? So they're trained on internet data. And as we all know, everything on the internet is true, right? Let's go into a little bit about what RAG is. RAG is retrieval augmented generation, which improves AI accuracy by connecting it to your own trusted data. So when you're using a RAG application, it is grounded in the data that you're vetting as trusted, okay? Which is inherently different than going out to the internet or fetching data that the model has been trained on that you've had nothing to do with. So a very essential component in RAG is a human in the loop, right? It's an AI term that's tossed around. You want to have that human in the loop. And with RAG, retrieval augmented generation, that's inherent. So instead, this is what I said, instead of relying on its original training, the AI looks up or retrieves. That's the retrieval part. It retrieves your information from your specific documents and augments your original prompt before spitting out an answer, before its generation. So you're going to put into it what you want to get out of it. It then looks at your sources that you have vetted as trustable and then synthesizes an answer. And that answer can be in language. That answer can be multimodal, meaning it's not just text that you're going to do it back. You can create a picture. You can create an image. You can create slides. You can create video. You can create podcasts. You can create users guides. You can create mind maps. You can create all manner of things with this type of curriculum. The LM in NotebookLM, by the way, what's the LM stand for? Language model, correct. So you've heard of LLMs, large language models. This works on that. So it's going to reduce those hallucinations by using this. The hallucination is essentially the AI saying, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to make something up that sounds good, and you're going to believe me because I'm saying it with authority, right? They're hard to spot sometimes. With the RAG, you are going to cut down on that significantly because the only sources that you're going to be using are have been vetted by you, right? It's not going out to the internet. It is going to be much more relevant. If you're searching the internet for something, you don't know what you're going to get back necessarily. So it's only going to be using the documents that you put in, right? And it's efficient, right? So we're just going to stop at that. All right. So GPT versus RAG, and I promise I'll get to a live demo of the NotebookLM, but I wanted to go through this basic information with you so we were all kind of on the same level here. So the GPT is generative pre-trained transformer, and that's that pre-trained part of it that you don't have any control over. So the AI model uses its original training, that internet, and with the retrieval augmented, you are connecting your grounded data. It's more accurate than a GPT. Privacy can be a real issue if you're using, Gemini or ChatGPT for anything, really. The internet is retrieving back the answers, so your information can wind up out there, but it's never going to do that with NotebookLM. It's all internal. Google does not save that data at all on their servers, with the exception of if you're on a personal account and you give them feedback, because it'll ask for you for thumbs up and thumbs down feedback as to whether it was a good response or not. And if you do that in your personal account, it will save it. It will save it. So think twice about giving feedback unless it's something that you want the whole world to possibly know. Right, so it's much more specific and relevant. It's going to give you answers specifically that you want. And the goal here, the difference is it's going to improve the accuracy because, again, it's information that you put in. Okay, so for an under the sea octopus, who has read Remarkably Bright Creatures? Laura has read Remarkably Bright Creatures. What's it about?
It's about an octopus that interacts with the lady that keeps the aquarium. Well, among other things, but that's the main thing. That's it. And then all the characters surround the lady and her life.
Right. So for anyone who didn't hear, Remarkably Bright Creatures is a novel that I recently read, and it's all about Marcellus the octopus. He's a giant Pacific octopus. And by the way, I'm a former art teacher, so I apologize for myself in as much advance as I could have. So I'll get to the point, I promise. So what this octopus does is it's very observant. They're very smart creatures, right? It's very observant on everything that happens. What this woman does when she's cleaning, all the fingerprints that the kids leave on the aquarium, bright shiny objects that fall around. And this might be the fictional part of it, we don't know, but it synthesizes all of this information to be able to get to the one thing that connects them all that nobody else can see. And that's kind of like what this can do for you. Just look at my notes here. Right, so it's good at finding the golden thread, just like Marcellus the octopus can. If you're interested in reading it, there's a link there for you. So this brings us to the mechanics of how NotebookLM functions. And yes, this graphic was created with NotebookLM when I told it that the research was like an octopus, and we put a prompt together and came up with this idea. So we have distributed intelligence where you can it's sort of like through the tentacles, all your intelligence is distributed. Octopi or octopuses, it's still the verdict is out on which one is preferred, but they have a centralized brain, right? So that's one brain in their mantle. It's not called their head, it's their mantle. They also have 8 additional brains for 9 total. Each tentacle or each arm has its own brain. So the octopus can get information from over here and affect over there. And I only have 4 limbs. I can't quite do that. And that's a good point. I only have 4 limbs. We only have 1 brain. NotebookLM acts as an octopus to be able to get all of this disparate information and put it together for you in ways that you might not have thought of, that weren't accurate, maybe, that would take you months to synthesize. So it's great for that sort of thing. Connecting, let's see. Right, so it can uncover those truths that may have been elusive in the past. All right. And who has used NotebookLM to create an infographic like this?
Oh.
I was a softball teacher. Okay, every day. Sorry. Okay, there you go.
Okay, you too will have the chance to get one of these very rare octopuses during our session. Okay. So here is NotebookLM. Who we got here? We got Top Hat Man. There are 3 windows when you open up NotebookLM. You have your sources window. And this is where you're going to import all your sources. This is a chat window. This is where, just like any other large language model chat situation that you've used before, you're going to use real live language with this model. And then we have the studio, which is where you will be able to generate all those types of multimodal outputs that I mentioned before, and then some. And at this point, we're going to go live. I don't know. What should I give away this guy for? Name one of the features in the studio. Podcast. Who said podcast? All right. It's an octopus, it's not a duck. Grown. I know. All right, so here we are. Now this isn't what I said it was on the slide, but it's because I want to show you how to get to NotebookLM. There are many ways to get there. You can just sort of put, I think it's ai.notebooklm. You're going to go there. But if you're using Google and you look over here in your waffle, you will have it somewhere. So that's how we're going to get to this today. And you can see I have a gazillion different octopus, or I mean, notebooks. Notebooks, by the way, can be shared. So as we are developing these notebooks today together, it's one thing you might want to keep in mind. Do you have something that is going to be a great resource for your colleagues in your team, in your department, Do you have a great resource that's going to be great for your districts? Now, whether or not you can use NotebookLM or not, as far as your district or BOCES or RIC or what have you goes, I'm not concerning myself with that information. That's up to you, okay? So you'll see that you'll have a number of things. I do have one shared with me right there, which was my colleague Michelle, who's in the back. Give a wave. Hello, Michelle. Michelle played around a little bit with this to create some octopus graphics for us. And you'll have my notebooks and then all. When you first open it, you might even see some notebooks that are created by Google or by other people that you can open up and do learning with. But we're just going to go with these. I have created for you a sample notebook. So that's the one I'm going to open. And as you can see, on the left here, we have, this is your sources. On the left, there are a number of sources, and I'm going to show you how to import sources and how to interact with them. And I can probably put this down. So your sources, you can see here, you can add sources. If you click add sources, it's going to ask you, well, what sources do you want to add? And either you can upload files that you have already. You can go to websites. You can upload directly from Drive, or you can paste copied text. And this has so many applications, it's mind-boggling. Just these. You can, you know how with ChatGPT, you'll say, all right, act as a science teacher and tell me about the laws of physics in a way that a fifth grader can understand, right? So you tell it, you give it a persona. We all know this, basic stuff, yeah. So with copy text or with uploading files, you can write out very long prompts about how you want NotebookLM to function, and then import it as a source and tell it, use this as your guide for everything that you output. So you can put information in there about, you know, what are your school colors? Everything that you output should be put in your school colors. Is there a style guide that you have? Put that in there and tell it to read it first before it outputs anything. I may be putting the cart a little bit before the horse here. So you can also search the web for new sources, right? That is going to go out to the web and it's going to grab new sources about whatever your topic is. Then you'll have the opportunity to vet those sources and say whether or not you want to use them, okay? So to start off, let's do a little bit of each of those things, okay? Currently, the sources that I have in here are all about how to DDC, right? So we have, down here, we have the SIRS manual, we have information about Office of Accountability, early learning, world languages, ESSA, CTE, a number of different items. When you see something come in, however, it's going to look like this one on the bottom. It's going to have that whole URL. A quick bit of information here is if you click this more here, you can rename that source. And I highly recommend you do that. Otherwise, you're going to have like 87 URLs and you're not going to know what any of them are. So this one is about, I don't know, what's it about? If you click on it, it'll tell you what it's about. It'll give you a source guide. It'll give you a brief overview of what that is about. So this one is about SEDAS. So I'm going to go up here to close that back, and I'm just going to rename it SEDAS. That's a great question, and one that I'll try to answer after the fact. I don't have an answer for that. Once you import something, I think it's hard-coded in there. I don't think it's gonna, even if the URL is the same. So if the SIRS manual is sirsmanual.pdf, and it's always the same name, even if it's version 21.97, right? That's coming soon, right? Like, I think you'd have to re-import it. Okay. But the thing is that if you import a document that says to reference these websites, or if you import a website, it might update. I'm not entirely sure on that, sadly. I apologize, but okay, so let's add a source, and we can either search for a new source or we can upload. Does anybody have a site top of mind that they would like to add to this list for a pineapple octopus? Yes. Oh, I know I can get you.
I'm trying to do it along with you to learn, and I went hopeful and I pulled up some that just some model.
Okay.
Like a slide deck question.
Okay. Okay.
I'm practicing.
So let's look at, I don't know that, I'm not going to be able to log into anything, but let's look for a school tool website. How does this one look? It's not much about anything. We'll do about, oh, is this for City School District of Albany? Who's anyone from the City School District of Albany? That's not what we want. Yeah. All right, we're just going to pick one. We're going to pick this one. It's a quick reference guide. All I'm going to do is copy that URL, go back to NotebookLM, paste that URL in there. I could have, actually what I'm going to do here is click websites. So it's going to give me this interface here, and I can paste as many URLs into this. If you have your list of 50 websites that you want to use, you can post them all at the same time. But I'm going to do that and insert it. And you'll see on the bottom there that it's coming in. It put it in some sort of order. Where did it wind up? Did it give me attention Cloudflare? Sorry, you've been blocked. You can't use that. I can't use that one. You got to give the pineapple back. What's that? That's a great idea. Yes, it is. Okay, so here we go. Here's the URL. I'm just going to look at it to make sure it's what I want, copy it, and then add that source. No, that's not what I want to do. But if you wanted to, if you had it on your computer, you wanted to upload to your computer, you could do that too. So I'm going to go back to websites and insert that. And now we'll see that it's adding it right here. And again, you can rename it to, what was it that we just put in? Yes.
Websites are key, like the Office of Accountability. You get in there, there's a ton of references on the front page, and there's a whole bunch of drop downs and links to how deep does that reference go? Is like how deep does it go to use that particular website?
We're going to see. Give me a question to ask it that's not on the front page of it. Here's how you find out. Okay. So
To RPT guidance, report guidance.
okay. So you can ask like, what are the parameters of the SIRS 312 report guide? Right? It's not going to be on the front page. It's going to have to dive into that. So let's see. So it'll go through some of this. It's going to tell you what it's doing as it's doing it. It's analyzing, it's confirming, it's concluding, it's verifying, and then here you go. These sources do not contain anything about the 312, so it doesn't go real deep. You'd have to put the exact pages in that you want, okay?
So if you have bookmarks already,
Yeah.
like you just get to where a bookmark folder and say everything in this bookmark folder.
You can, yes, there'll be a little trickiness to it. You'd have to create a document, probably with some code in it that has access to that. Then you put the document in, tell it to access whatever the code is, and then it would. Do I know how to do that off the top of my head? Not today. Not today. But yes, generally speaking, you can create all sorts of documents that have links to all other things, that have instructions in them, that are your ethics manual for work, and make sure that its output is aligned with that, right? So here's another interesting thing. In the chat window itself, you have a couple of these options up here. And I'm not keeping track of time, it probably should. It's 1:07. Do we know how long I have for this until? Okay, good. So we have some time. All right, so there are these couple of options that you can look at in case you can't see them real. Oops. So here we have, you can configure the notebook. And that's something that you might want to do early on in your use of the notebook. All right, and then you have your chat history across sessions, which means you leave this, you come back, it'll still be there. But you might be able to delete it or not. So, but here in Configure Notebook, you have a whole bunch of options here. Default is what we just saw. You ask it a question and it can spit out an answer. It can synthesize information for you. You can define your conversational goal. That was the default. You can make it a learning guide so that it doesn't necessarily spit out an answer for you. It'll ask you questions. So you can say things like, I want to prepare for my NotebookLM session at Daytech. Help me learn about all the different things that NotebookLM can do. And it will show you where to look and then start asking you questions about the chat window and about the source window and about the outputs. So if you want to use this tool with students, or if you have a new employee who you want to quiz on something, right? You have someone new in your department and you want to be able to make sure that they understand the information that they've been given. That would be a great way to do it. I've used it to prepare for interviews. I've used it to prepare for presentations. It's a good prep partner. Yeah. And then, of course, you have custom. And here you can write exactly what you want it to act as and how you want it to function. Okay, for an ice cream cone. Octopus, who has a fun personal interest they'd like to share?
Referee guy.
Referee basketball. Okay. So you can tell it you are a basketball referee. All of your outputs should use basketball references. And this is just an example. Your prompts can be very long and very specific, right? So we're gonna choose this, and then your lengths of the answer that you're gonna get, you can select and play around with them yourself. But you can get short briefs, medium size, large, medium, and small. So now it's a basketball referee. So let's ask it a question about, what? Something from the SIRS manual. What is the entry exit codes for, ill, uh,
Preschool.
for what? Preschool. And if you say what is instead of what are, it's not going to scold you. It can understand poor English also. So now it says, listen up, team. We're heading into into the paint to look at the paint. Is that the painted floor?
Yeah.
Okay, we're looking at the paint.
Or this close.
The part that's closest to the basket,
sounds
like
like I know.
The rectangle.
rectangle from the circuit. Okay. So, just get a critical play in the nice said data games, so keep your eyes on the ball. So, just as an example of, you want to liven it up for yourself, you want it to act as a video game, you want it to be whatever that's going to get your interest, student's interest, colleagues' interest. You can see how that works, right? I'm going to just change it back to, well, let's look at Learning Guide. Let's look at Learning Guide and say, well, it did this for me. I didn't do this. It says, I want to learn about these sources using Learning Guide. So it's going to assess what you have, and it's going to tell you, it's going to give you a couple of options about what and how you can learn about these sources, right? So data systems and flow, how does data flow? Reporting, and you can put in, does one of these sound available to you? Yeah, let's put reporting rules for specific populations, and you can just put 2. And now it's going to start asking you questions about that. It's looking for clues. It's initiating, interpreting. We're getting close, refining. All right, so to help you learn this material effectively, I suggest we follow this plan. It's going to give you a learning plan. And then you just, in real time, in real language, you follow along and have a conversation with it. And that, I think, is where there's a real strength with this, is that you don't have to put those page-long prompts in. You don't have to code anything. You can. It'll accept that. It'll work with that. But you can just use it as, a language model and have a conversation with it so that it is very targeted to what you need. And it's not a predetermined spiel, for lack of a better word, that it's giving you. All right, I'm going to go back here to the default. Are there any questions on that at all? Okay. So moving on to the studio part of this is where it gets real fun and interesting. It can create all sorts of multimodal output for you based upon your grounded sources. So for instance, quickly, there's an audio feature. And if you click on the little pencil, it gives you all of these different choices about an audio feature. You can have just a brief give me a brief on this topic. You can do all of these different things, deep dive, critique. You can tell it, there's going to be, in a deep dive, it's 2 AI people talking to each other about your content. With the audio options in particular, this would be a great resource to be able to use. NotebookLM has an app. So you can connect your phone also. I know there was some discussion in the session I was in earlier about people using their personal phones with whatever. This is all information that's publicly available, right? So there's nothing privately data about this. Let's say you have an hour commute to work every day there and back. You create an audio overview of the information that you want to learn or know about. And then you play it over your car stereo through the app in your phone on your way to work. So you're learning in real time. You know, like you could also listen to an audiobook or the music or, sing or whatever you need to do. But if you're in transit, if you're going to a conference, if you're, in motion, then it's usually dead time, and you want to get some stuff done, this is one way you could do it. You can create slide decks. I will tell you that anywhere that you don't see a pencil, you don't get to really do much as far as customization goes. Where it says beta on these two, so infographics and slide deck, the beta ones are they're beta. There's some left to be desired with the beta options here. So be as specific as you can with your prompting with any of these. And it'll work to your favor. So you can create a quiz. This reports one can be very helpful. You can create a study guide, right? So for a study guide, you could then further click on the pencil and define exactly what you want to do. So let's say you are a Rick and you're designing or you're a BOCES, you're designing a new course offering for your component district, and you're teaching about, give me a topic for a birthday octopus. Topic that you're teaching about. Phases of the moon. Okay, so you tell it that you want to create a report. First of all, it gives you this default. You're a highly capable research assistant and tutor. So you can change it to you're a highly effective celestial expert. Create a detailed report about phases of the moon, so on and so forth. Now, of course, you'd have to have your sources, right? Because if I try it now, it's going to tell me I don't have any information about that whatsoever, right? So you have to have it grounded in your sources, but it can be anything. It could be a quiz. You can create quizzes here. I will tell you that I've done a couple of things for you here already because they do take time to generate. So because I didn't know how the internet was going to be or how much time things would actually take, I did generate a couple of things for you. So the L data reporting rules, you can see here that you can still view the prompt that you used to create whatever your output is. So let's look at the prompt. Create a sketch note style infographic titled Reporting Rules for English Language Learners. Use a hand-drawn style, banners, frames, so on and so forth. Start with identification via the Nicetel. It goes on to tell exactly what I want it to be. So this is a very specific prompt. And it should put a very specific output. So if we look at this, and this was information that I rendered this prompt. By the way, how did I render it? I asked the notebook to suggest a prompt for me for this information. So you don't have to come up with it off the top of your head even. You can ask it to suggest a prompt for you. And then you can alter it based upon exactly what you want. I mentioned human in the loop earlier. That's really important for every stage of AI when you're using it. You never want to just copy what it tells you, paste it, and then you're done. You always, always, always want to review that for accuracy and for exactly what you want. So if we look at this, here's what it rendered. So you can see, yeah, it has like a sketchy kind of style. It has those banners. And it tells you exactly how, what the codes are. You have to take the nicest slot. It gives you all of that information without you really having to know, right? Because I asked it to make a prompt based on my sources, and then I put that prompt to ask for an output. You can also connect with this with your Gemini. when you use Gemini and NotebookLM, you can import a NotebookLM, you can import a notebook into Gemini. You can import a Gemini chat into NotebookLM. Okay, which is very handy. So I took the prompt that it gave me, I put it in the source window, and I told it to render this. Okay. What I also did was when the chat window said, would you like me to render this graphic? I also said, yes. And then I was kind of out of it. I didn't copy paste. It looked at its own prompt that it made and made a new graphic. Okay, for a purple cowboy octopus, someone tell me, was it the same or different? Who said different? Okay, so, right, the output was different. It was the same exact prompt. It was the same exact prompt. So if I put a prompt in and Julie puts a prompt in, the same exact prompt, likely she's going to get a different output than I'm going to get. Also, what's obviously different? The format, like, right? If this one's vertical, the other one was horizontal. If you only want a horizontal one, you better tell it to make a horizontal output. You better tell it you want a 16:9 slide. You better tell it that you want, you know, whatever format it is. Otherwise, it's going to do what it feels like in that moment, right? It's still all the right information, but different. Okay. Let's see. So here also, if you choose the mind map option, this is what it's going to do for you. It's going to map out. So I told it to do a mind map for, let's see what I told it to do. So if I go here, oh, see this, the mind map is one where you can't tell it what to do. You can't, it's just going to do, it's going to, what you can do, what I failed to mention is see these check marks over here in the sources? You can say, I only want to use, you know, the SIRS manual. So uncheck everything else. Otherwise, it's going to use everything that's checked as a resource. So if you don't want that, make sure you only have the things checked that you want to be using. So I probably did that when I ran this mind map, and here's what it gives me. So this is very interactive. You can see the outline of any of these topics. You can also download this as a graphic. So whatever's open, you would be downloading it as that graphic. I guess it doesn't show you, but that's what you would do. Okay. What's this? Here's a brief. Okay, so it's a New York State data. Let's see what I said for this one. View custom prompt. Create a brief that explains the intersection of Ed Law 2D and how data is used by the Office of Accountability. I don't know. So that's what I did. Let's hear what it rendered.
It's the brief on New York State's education data and accountability systems. You know, the state education department relies on this massive data system to track school performance, enforce the Every Student Succeeds Act, and ensure educational equity. But where does all this data actually go, and how's it managed without violating student privacy? Well, first, let's look at the SIRS ecosystem.
You get the point, right? So you can choose different lengths of output on these audio files. And like I said earlier, you get a long one, like tell me everything I need to know about this particular topic. Listen to it in the car, or on the train, or on the plane, wherever you happen to be. Creating a custom data table doesn't necessarily mean personally identifiable information, which even though it's grounded, and even though it's local, and even though, I still don't recommend putting any PII in here at all, especially because you can share, like I said earlier, you can share these things with a group of people. Not only can you share them with people who you identify, you can make these public and anyone can get a hold of them. So even though the data is local, you still do not, just don't. Just don't, okay? All right, how am I doing? All right, I mean, I think we're pretty much at time. Let me go back to this. A question? You want to ask a question? I encourage questions.
So the PI data, are you uploading any sort of accurate data or,
You can.
other obstacles?
You can upload data as long as it's not, PII, you don't want to put financial data in there, you don't want to put anything in there that has a number, that's associated with a person or anything like that. But can you put like colors of stoplights, red, green, amber? Yeah, you can upload that kind of data, why not?
Mention Gemini and something you can report on local. Or you just, what's the matter?
Well, okay, so here's your resources. I appreciate the question. So let's say you have this notebook full of information. You have every single NICEAD website, right? You have, and it's all in one place, right? But you want to prompt Gemini to find something that relates to such and such in your notebook. Or one of the things I didn't mention, and this relates to that, is creating sources. Let me see if I can get back to that. So when you've done anything over here in Studio, you can save, well, in chat, let's say I wanted to save this last thing as a note in Studio. I click down here, it says save to note. When I click that, it makes it an output, all right? So I can then take that, bring it into the sources and use it as a source. So if there's an output that you're getting here, or a type of output, or a type of direction that you've put in here, and you want to use Google as an adjunct to that, they're interchangeable as far as you can import and export from both of them. And along those lines, I do have, I'm not going to talk about this because we don't have time, but here, there's a whole list of sources for you. And the Mastering Notebook LM video is what you want to watch. It's an hour-long video of all the details I've talked about and more. It's a wonderful sort of how-to notebook LM. Nobody's paying me to say this, it's just some independent guy who's done it. And here are, so what I did with this video is I told Notebook LM, I imported it into Notebook LM and I said, tell me all the different things I can do with Notebook LM according to the video source. So you don't have to watch this hour-long video. You can put it in, tell it to summarize it for you. You can do that with audio, right? You can do it with video. You can do it with images. Import them and then ask for an output, right? So what this is the answer that it gave me. So this is a brief understanding of all the basics about Notebook LM that you can use. This side goes back, that side goes back, hopefully there's enough for everyone. If there's not enough for everyone, I apologize. But that also included in download the handout. So you'll have, whether you get a paper copy of that or not. Okay, so there's a bunch of resources for you. And here is your exit ticket. If you want to put it on your papers, that's on the back of your paper. If you are doing it by Google Forms, there's your code to do that, with. As I said, the papers you can keep, for your own reference. If you want to supply me with feedback and the answers that you wrote down, please go ahead and do the Google form as well. I'd appreciate the feedback. And, yeah, there we have it. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.